All right. Okay, wonderful. Thank you and welcome to the Youth Horticulture Education Program training refresher for the Learn, Grow, Eat, and Go curriculum. This curriculum is part of the Junior Master Gardener series, and it was created by our friends at Texas A&M University. We know that most of you have had the opportunity to do a first run of this program during the summer, this past summer. And so this is a refresher. We'll go over a couple of the, well, actually all of the modules. I am also aware that some of you who have signed up for today's training, you are actually new to Accelero, or you may not have your Nevada registry number yet. During the registration, all of you were asked to supply your names, the zip code of your center, of your site, to let us know the site that you're at, and also to supply your Nevada registry ID numbers. Those numbers will be used to input your information into Nevada registry so that you can get credit for the 2-hour training today. I see folks are still coming in. I will reiterate the fact that we have your Nevada registry ID numbers in a few minutes, but again, welcome and thank you. All right, so we have a mixed bag audience here from the different Accelero centers. We know that some of you have been up and running and enthusiastic with the gardening program, and some of you still have questions, so we'll be able to answer those questions today as well. My name is Tricia Braxton Perry. I am the program manager for the Youth Horticulture Education Program here at the University of Nevada Cooperative Extension. I'm going to put on the screen now so that you can see. Hopefully I can share the screen. And you should now see the title presentation. If you can, give me a thumbs up. Wonderful, thanks for your feedback. Okay. All right, so as I mentioned, I'm with the University of Nevada Cooperative Extension. We are part of the University of Nevada, Reno. With me today is Nicole Hansen, community-based instructor. Her focus area is the Junior Master Gardener Project, which this Learn, Grow, Eat, Go curriculum is part of the series of. And Ian Ford Terry. Ian is our community-based instructor. His focus area is hydroponics and career readiness. And so we're super happy to see you guys today. Let's go right into the training. This will be 2 hours, almost to the dot. So going into or recapping what the Learn, Grow, Eat, Go curriculum is all about, there are special sections. The sections are part of the name of the curriculum. There's a Learn section, a Grow section that focuses on garden activities, a Eat section that has weekly recipes assigned to each that pair well to the lessons. And then there's the physical activity component that's part of the Grow section. In addition, there are wonderful extras, such as literature for the week. There are books that are available focusing on gardening experience, the gardening experience. There are journal prompts, and there are other activities for the week, and all of these are experiential. During the summertime, we focused a bit on, let's go back here. We focused a bit on starting out with the prep week, right? So you had the prep week before week 1. Then we went into week 1, understanding we would have to prep for week 2. Then we went into week 2, understanding that we'd have to prep for week 3, and so on. And so although there were multiple weeks, each week built on the prior week. And of course, we had a closing week. So although the curriculum is designed for 4 weeks, we stretched it to 6 weeks with a beginning prep week and an end week that would be the closing week. And I've worked with Oscillero in other capacities and with other programs here at Extension. And so I am aware that there's a family engagement component, and you may want to use that closing week to drive home some of the concepts that the students learned. I know, and learning from other centers, there were some classrooms where teachers created binders, and those binders were sent home at the end of the session, the complete session, with the parents, along with those recipes, so that parents could see all of the artwork and all of the types of lessons and plants that were growing in the classroom. The Learn, Grow, Eat, Go curriculum is structured in a way that's really, really easy to follow. Some of you may recall this lesson outline, this visual lesson outline here, where we show the lessons, the grow activity, the garden journal, the literature connections, the kitchen recipes, all on one sheet for every single week. In this photo, actually is of our first training back in the summer, where we had everyone go through the sunflower drawing and how they would go about teaching how seeds came from flowers using a drawing of a sunflower and actual seeds that you could paste on. We provided materials for everyone during that training. And so starting with every week, there is a learn component. And I will ask Nicole Hansen to briefly go over or review what that learn component is about and how you would be able to visualize it in the curriculum. Oh, Nicole, before you start that, let me just reiterate. We know that we will get the actual Learn, Grow, Eat, Go curriculum sometime by the end of August. The materials that you've been provided were provided with permission from Texas A&M. In the email that you all received from your site leads, you now have links to key pages that you can use again, but just know that the actual curriculum should be available by end of August. Okay.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nicole Hansen, and I've been fortunate enough to teach this program to some other early childhood sites in the Valley. So I have some experience teaching the program. So the first aspect we'll talk about is the learn aspect. So this curriculum is garden-based learning, and so the first part of the curriculum is based on plant needs and plant parts. So that is for week 1. And that's what you're looking at right here is a sample of week 1. And so plant needs, what do they need to grow? Well, they need light, air, water, nutrients, soil, or structure. Same thing, people need to grow. So this is a great way for children to connect that both plants and people really need the same things to stay healthy and to grow well and to make the best of their bodies and brains. It also deals with plant parts. And this is the wonderful part about this curriculum is that each week is dedicated to a plant part. So they go from the bottom, from seeds all the way to fruits. So it goes seeds, roots, stems, leaves, flowers, fruits. And so it ties each one of those plant parts together. Not only does it discuss how each plant part is helpful to the plant and how it helps the plant grow, but it also discusses how we eat every part of the plant. So that nutrition aspect comes in to the learn activities. So we learn about seeds like pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, corn, beans. Those are seeds that we eat. And then they learn about roots and roots that we eat. Does anybody know any roots that we eat? You can put it in the chat if you like. We go on up to stems that we eat. That's always kind of a tricky one for everyone. But hey, Martha knew what stem we eat. Good job, Martha. That's right. Celery and asparagus are stems that we eat. And of course, we eat a lot of leaves. We eat spinach and lettuce and chard and kale and all that really good leafy green stuff. And we eat flowers. Now, kids are always shocked to learn that they not only eat flowers, but most of them love to eat flowers in the form of cauliflower and broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, and artichokes are all flowers that we eat. Cabbage is one of those that is a leaf that we eat, but then that middle leaf opens up and a flower head comes right out of the middle. And then, of course, everyone's favorite, the fruits. So kids love fruits and they love to eat them, but something that this curriculum teaches is that fruit is anything with a seed on the inside. So many of the things that we call vegetables are actually scientifically fruits. So it's a really great way for the kids to learn each part of the plant, what plants need as they go through this curriculum. And it reinforces that with the grow, eat, and go component. You're muted, Tricia.
Thank you so much. Okay, wonderful. And that's a perfect explanation. Does anyone have any questions regarding the learn component right now? You can put it in the chat or you can just ask us now. Okay, the photos that you see in this slide are compliments of Belén Rojas. Belén is at one of the Acelero sites, and as the children learned the different lessons, she was able to capture the work that they did, and basically did a photo documentary of the work that was being done at her center. We definitely invite you all to take photos. If you notice, however, with these children, although the photos are taken of them, we do not have images of their faces unless you are able to provide a photo release. Photo releases from parents would allow us to take photos or use photos of children, but we don't necessarily need that at this stage. If you would like to share a photo with us that does include the faces, let me know and I will send you the university paperwork for photo release. It's a photo release form that the parents would have to sign.
Belén is on this training, Tricia. So she
is on the training. Where is Belén?
She is in this one. Yeah, she is our wonderful photographer, is indeed in this training. Okay,
I'm scrolling through. Belén, if you're in, we'd love to hear from you.
I am right here.
Hi, Belén. How are you?
I am well, thank you. I'm very psyched that you guys are using our pictures. I love to see our children up there. That's nice.
Excellent. Thank you so much for providing these photos. And you'll see there'll be more in this training. So thank you. And just know that we also sent these photos to our marketing team here at Extension,
great.
As well as to our friends at Texas A&M.
I'm glad I was able to provide any help with that.
Absolutely. It really helps explain all of these, everything that we're trying to discuss here. So yeah, so in this photo, the students they went through the exercise of creating a plant mop. And let me get back to their plant mop. And so there was a pool noodle used, construction paper, poster board, and a mop used to design this giant flower. And the students were able to write their names on every petal and then post the petal onto the flower to show that they were actually a part of this gardening experience. So that was really special to see. Okay, next we have a lesson on how do plants grow. This lesson here, as you see, it does go over prompts that you would use to engage the students. And that's the wonderful thing about this curriculum is that each day, each lesson, there are question prompts for your students. Here's a lesson on Healthy Henry. And Healthy Henry can be taught in different ways. I will ask Nicole to come on board again and discuss Healthy Henry. Nicole, should I go back to the previous slide? This one here?
This is perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, if you could put the picture up so I can show them how I did it, I'd appreciate it. Thank you so
Sure.
much.
You're
So
welcome.
when I taught this series, I taught it pre-COVID. So things were a little different then. We were able to use, Trisha's the artist of the group. So I got some big butcher paper and Trisha drew a human form on it for me. And we went to the site, and at that time we were allowed to have real fruits and vegetables on site, hands-on. That has since changed since COVID has come around, but there are alternative ways to teach this. So the way I taught it was could you put the picture up of Healthy Henry, Trisha?
Sure.
So you can do one Healthy Henry or Henrietta, whichever the kids choose or whichever you choose. And we used real fruits, real vegetables, real seeds, and I let the kids decide how they wanted to decorate or form Henry or Henrietta. And they wanted to do top from bottom. So they made the feet out of seeds, the ankles out of roots, the legs out of stems, the body portion or the clothes portion were all different kinds of leaves that we eat. The face was made of fruits and flowers, and the hair, of course, was flowers as well. And while we were doing this, we were discussing what each plant part is and where it belongs on the plant, and two, how these different plant parts make our own bodies feel good when we eat them. So post-COVID, I don't know if we're actually post-COVID, but we're kind of getting there. Things are a little different. You can't really use the fresh vegetables anymore. Nobody wants everybody's little hands touching everything they're going to eat. So Beline did a wonderful representation of Henry with cutouts. So instead of using the actual fruits and vegetables, she got pictures of the different fruits and vegetables and the different plant parts, and she made Healthy Henry out of the cutouts. Concept is the same. So the information that was translated to the students is the same. So as long as they understand, one, what the plant parts are, two, how they help our bodies, and then of course they get that hands-on creative experience putting Healthy Henry together.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Nicole. Really appreciate it. Okay. All right, so we're going to take a poll right now. There is a poll that will come up, and of course, Nicole and I, we tag team a lot with training. We know our strengths and weaknesses here, and so Nicole is the poll person. And so on the screen right now, there's a question. The instruction asks, instead of it should be 4. Sorry about that. The instructions for each lesson were, tell us if they were easy to follow, somewhat easy to follow, or not easy to follow. Okay, we have 81% easy to follow, 19% somewhat easy to follow, and none of you said that they were not easy to follow. So fantastic. We're really happy that 80% of you found these lessons very easy to follow. Fantastic. And again, if anyone has any questions on how to follow the lessons, use your resources. You have colleagues, you have us here at Extension. We are more than happy to be of assistance. Okay, let's go here and share the results. Can everyone see those results? Fantastic. All right. Okay, the next part is the grow component. Feline, I'm sure you remember this photo as well. The grow component offers easy, inexpensive ways to grow a garden. The students will help pick a location in week 1. In week 2 and 3, the students learn to plant the seeds. And in week 4, students learn to plant transplants. And please put in the chat, let me know that you know what a transplant is. Okay, let's see. Oh, we have one person answering in the chat. Fantastic. Okay. That's right. Thank you, Janice. Thank you, Justina. Fantastic. Oh, more coming in. Jacqueline, Norma. Fantastic. All right. For this next component, I'm going to have Nicole go over the grow aspect here, using those gardening resources.
So as a horticulturist, this is of course my favorite part of the curriculum, and the kids really enjoy it too. So this is taking it from seed to table, as we like to say. So the kids get to learn what plants need to grow. And in week 1, they actually find their garden home. So they take those plant needs. What do we need? Light, air, water, nutrients and soil or structure, and they help find a place for their garden home. Now, gardens are often considered by many people, you have to have a lot of land, you have to have raised beds, and it becomes kind of an overwhelming concept. But the wonderful thing about Texas A&M and the Junior Master Gardener curriculum that they put forward for all age groups is they reinforce that gardening does not need to have a lot of space. What you need is some kind of container to grow in. And so when I say container gardening, I don't mean necessarily a pot that a plant goes into. It's great if you have that, but it can also mean those Rubbermaid kind of Tupperware containers. It can mean recycled milk jugs. It can mean 5-gallon buckets. It can mean really any container, plastic container or otherwise, that you can see the plants growing in, and that's deep enough and big enough for the plants to grow. So that's one of my favorite parts of this curriculum, is it takes gardening and makes it much more manageable for anybody in any living situation or education situation, that they can plant a garden no matter what their resources are. So I believe everyone got seeds from us, and I know a lot of you had started growing. And so I'm wondering if any of you can talk to me about your growing experience. Did you guys, any of you get your plants to grow? Yes, Wardell says that you can grow green beans in a lunch bag. Absolutely. And if it's a brown lunch bag, you can just plant the whole bag when they're ready to go into a bigger pot if you want, because that brown lunch bag, it will decompose. It will break down. So you can grow your plant in there and then stick the whole bag right into a bigger container, and they will continue to grow from there. So anyone have any luck with growing their seeds, and what did you grow? Anyone? You can put it in the chat or you can unmute. Okay, so somebody grew, oh, here we go, beans grew. And I don't want to mispronounce your name. So can you unmute and tell me, one, how to pronounce your name? Because I want to make sure I do it right.
Yes, it's Navjot.
Navjot, okay.
Yes.
How did your beans grow? Did they grow all right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they did. And the kids took them home. So
okay.
yeah.
Wonderful. Did anybody have any struggles with growing? That's perfectly normal. If you, for even us experienced gardeners, we still kill plants. It happens. So if there was any difficulties in growing, I want to let you know that we are your resource for that. Let's see, Catherine said that they were growing green beans, transferred to a bigger pot, and then the heat took them. Not surprising. Unfortunately, that 7 to 10 days where we had 115 plus temperatures, very rough on every living thing that is having to experience it, including plants. Even very heat tolerant plants had a very difficult time with that time in our weather. So don't, overwatering is also an issue. So I want you to let you guys know that if in this process, while you're growing, if you have questions, if your plants look funky, if they're not working out right, you're just not sure, even if you think it is a minimal question, I want you to email me and ask me. I am a horticulturist, so take pictures, show me your plants if you have any questions at all, and I'm happy to assist you in this process. As of right now, and I don't know if this has changed, we were not allowed to come on site because of COVID restrictions. But when we are able to come on site, I'd be happy to come in and, do a garden analysis of your site, anything, questions that you have. But in the meantime, please feel free to take pictures of any plants or any of your seedlings that you have concerns about, or just wants a woohoo, you're doing great. I'm there, I'm here for that too. So remember that we are your resource for many things, but also that growing part.
Thank you so much, Nicole. And as you see with the Learn, Grow, Eco curriculum, with the growing activity complements the lesson. The lesson, let me go back here, focused on how do plants grow. And so with that lesson, the idea was to educate the students, teach the students on those plant needs. As Nicole mentioned, plants need a couple of things, 5 things, 5 basic things: light, air, water, nutrients, and soil or structure for growing hydroponically. And then, of course, the grow activity to complement the lesson is finding a garden home. Now, the students would be able to find the garden home based on what they learned from the lesson, which were identifying those plant needs. So if a space offered enough light, air, water, nutrients, and soil or structure, then that would be an ideal place for that garden home. We're going to take another poll, and this poll will ask you what type or which container did you use for the garden section. And when I say poll, that's keywords to Miss Nicole.
I'm sorry, Trisha, I don't see the second poll in there, and my unfortunately my Zoom screen just went crazy.
Oh,
so
boy.
I'm getting there.
Okay, no worries.
Sorry.
No worries.
I'm getting it's flashing and acting crazy, so I'm gonna actually leave and come back.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry about that.
And we'll go back to the poll then. We'll go back to that.
Yeah,
one.
I'll be right back in.
Sure. All right, let me move right ahead. There's the eat component. And with the eat component talks about recipes. And these recipes would also complement the lesson for the week and the garden activity for the week. So if you see here on the screen, and does everyone see the, yeah, you see this here, okay. The learn component, for example, day one, the focus was how do plants grow, discuss needs and learn how they grow. The garden activity was finding a garden home. And then we have that eat component. The eat component would comprise of food exposure, sampling fresh plant parts. And that would be typically by day 4. So on a Thursday, and then the garden recipe would be distributed on day 5, that Friday. So here we are with the poll. Which container did you use to plant seeds for the grow section? Many of you used cups. That's fantastic. Recycled containers, yes. Raised beds. And I see some of you used other options. A plastic, let's see, Alfeo used the plastic planter with holes. Was that, Alfeo, was that a plastic planter that had a reservoir at the bottom?
Yes, it was. I actually got it from a Star Nursery.
Wonderful, yes.
Yeah.
In our arid climate, those planters that have reservoirs are very helpful. Fantastic. I think everyone has had a chance to chime in. And so
I
I'll
see in
share
the chat, somebody used the big 5-gallon Home Depot bucket. Those 5-gallon buckets are fantastic for growing vegetables. If you think they look bad, then you can just paint them up and they're fabulous.
That's right. Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, so yes, 82% of you used cups, 7% used recycled containers, 4% raised beds, and 7% were a bit creative and used other methods. So fantastic, thank you. All righty. On to the next part here. So there is power. The power of your modeling and energy is very important. There might be parts of the plant that you may not care for, or plants that you may not care for, but you have to be careful when expressing your like or your dislike of foods to students. They will oftentimes model your behavior, your like and dislike of a particular food. When we do deliver this information about different food choices or different parts of plants, we just want to be mindful that, you know, you might not like something the first time, but you might like it next time if you continue to try the foods or try the different parts of the plants, maybe cooked different ways, maybe not cooked at all, but at least you're trying it. And that's a key aspect to teaching students how to try different foods, and in our case, different plant parts. In this photo here, there is a teacher who is, she has a bag of frozen peas, and this of course was taken pre-COVID time. So with her bag of frozen peas, she actually placed a little frozen pea in the hands of each of her students and invited them to try the frozen pea. First, the students were shocked that they could eat something that was frozen, a frozen vegetable. And then upon tasting it, some of the students actually liked it and showed and shared that they did like it, and they were surprised that they would like it. Have you ever eaten frozen berries before, or frozen grapes? Any of you? I see some of you shaking your heads. Absolutely. Yes, Elizabeth Del Toro said yes, that's right. It gets really hot here in Vegas, so we have to be creative. Daisy also. What frozen vegetables or frozen foods did you enjoy? Oh, Wardell, that's right. Using frozen fruit in smoothies. One of the recipes for Learn, Grow, Eat, Go is a smoothie recipe. Berries, yeah, that's a favorite. And Wardell, here you go. Here's the power smoothie recipe that goes with the curriculum. And the ingredients you see are basic ingredients. You can always use substitutes for any of the ingredients listed. In the lesson links that we sent you all, we actually have a link to the recipes. And so for skim milk, if a person is lactose intolerant, you can always use a milk substitute. If baby spinach is not available, then maybe kale or another vegetable. And if pineapple chunks don't work for you, you can always try something else. Try those berries or strawberries. And then with vanilla yogurt, there are yogurt substitutes that you can use. And so we know that initially we were going to try, with Oscillera, you were going to try to see if you can use these recipes as part of the snack program, but instead that didn't work out during the summer. So I know that these recipe cards or the recipe information was sent to parents. I believe one of the centers used the reminder app to distribute information about the recipes to parents. Okay, I'd like to go back to, no, actually, I'd like to take a little poll. Oh my goodness, we did it already. I asked about the berries and what type of berries you had. So fantastic. All right. Dixie cups are your friend. Remind parents that when they do want to introduce new foods to their little ones, they can try it in small sizes. That usually helps, and it's not overwhelming. And if a student likes it or if a child likes it, then they'll ask for more. But you can try Dixie cups with smoothies, soups, dips, salads even. Did you get any feedback? I'm sorry, did you get any feedback from parents with the recipes? And feel free to unmute yourselves or put the information in chat. What type of feedback you received from parents regarding those recipes that were sent home? I know one of the centers said that the parents really enjoyed the recipes and were actually excited to receive those recipes each week. Wardell says, in my family, we do the one bite method for trying new foods like veggies and fruits. That's fantastic. That is a definite best practice to follow. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you, Nicole, for pointing that out. One of the centers made a binder of all of the recipes and sent it home on the last day. And I believe in this binder was all of their students' artwork. So every student had a binder to send home. Fantastic. All right, now we're going to go to that go section. So remember, every week we have that learn part for day 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's a grow activity, an activity such as rainbow roots or the mop umbrella. Then there's the go activity, and that go activity involves brain and body boosting movement. And so how do we explain that go activity? What type of things do we do? Well, for the Learn, Grow, Eat, Go curriculum, there's lots of, it's a yoga-based activity for the I Am a Growing Plant, where the students start very small. They crouch down very small on a mat. where their nose is almost touching their knees. You see here for the lesson narrative that there are prompts for you. So for example, for I am a growing plant, the lesson narrative starts with discussion or discussing what you're going to pretend to be for the day. And under the first star of part 1, it says, let's begin by curling your body up on the floor and pretending to be a seed. Seeds are tiny, so make yourself as small as you can. And now the sun is going to shine. The idea is that you would start with the lights off, then turn the lights on, and then you would say, and the rain is going to fall. Are you ready? We're about to feel raindrops. And so this is when, as teachers, you can spray a small mist of water onto the students, and then you can tell them, now the seed has water and it begins to get bigger. Open your arms and start to sit up. And so the students sit up and understanding what plants need to grow, because you covered that in the first week, right? First day, the students, you would basically discuss to the students what you're introducing now. So there was water, and now there will be sunlight so that the plants can grow nice and tall. And in this photo, you see the students reaching their hands up to the sky because they have all of their plant needs met. All righty. We are going to take a little break right now. The time is now 1:52. We're going to take an 8-minute break and come back at the top of the hour. Let me just put this here. Break time and come back at 2 o'clock, please. Okay, everyone, we are back. All right, thank you so much for your coming back on time and on schedule. We are ready to go forward. All right. So, as we were discussing earlier, the daily literature connection options. You know, there were several books that were offered for each lesson week. We're really excited about those books. We know that, sorry about that, I just had to adjust a falling camera. We know that there are many books that you could choose from with the Learn, Grow, Eat, Go curriculum. There are suggested books. Let's see, most of the books, so we were able to supply each center with books. If your center did not get a book, you'll be able to tell me in a poll that comes up. But the literature connection was fun. It was a nice way to tie in everything that the students learned that week. I know that some centers were able to read a little bit of the book each day. Some centers would read, at some classes in some centers, they would read a book twice, on a Tuesday and then at the end of the week. Wardell asked a question, can we buy our own personal books for reading aloud? Do you mean choosing the books from this section, Wardell? Okay, Navjot says we never got any books. All right. Yeah, we provided book sets for each center, and we took those books to Oscillera headquarters, and they were to be distributed. From then, I know that the last training that we had yesterday, we know that some centers did not get their books. So I will send out that email to see if the bags that we delivered were then sent out to the centers that they were supposed to. But I know that CW, Reach Out, and Gates were the sites that I have so far that did not receive books. Wardell asks about the personal items to buy, like our personal collection. I would say that for the Learn, Grow, Eat, Go curriculum, let's stick to the books that we have, those books that are recommended in the curriculum. They are in line with the lessons. If your center chooses a different book, I think you'd have to take that up with your center directors. But for the curriculum, I find that using the books that are recommended in the curriculum, it pairs very well with the lessons. Okay, Najat, you're saying that the Lorenzi Center also did not receive some of the books. Now, is it that classroom didn't receive the books or that center didn't receive the books?
I'm not sure, but I know that we didn't have any books in our classroom related to
particular
the,
classroom.
yeah. So I guess maybe the center didn't receive the books.
Okay, we'll double check on that.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. All right, I am going to ask for a quick poll to see of the books that were read, which books did you read to your students? Check all that apply. And you'll see a little sliding bar on the side of that poll where you can slide down and click on none of the above or other. Okay. And with some of these books, Nicole, Ian, and myself, we've read some of the books. We've put the readings on YouTube. Ian will be able to put the link on our YouTube readings into the chat. We'll also send that via email after tomorrow's training. Okay. Okay, 65% of our participants have participated in the poll. Some are still coming through. Okay. Great. You see more people are participating in the poll. Question, the question for the poll is, which book did you read to your students? Check all that apply. And so this is a list of all of the books that were supposed to be sent out to each center. Okay, so you can see that the carrot seed was read by 77% of our audience. Let's see here. Next was the tiny seed, and then seeds go, seeds grow, and then Lola plants a garden. And we know that 4 of you on this Zoom meeting never received your book, so you're from either of the 4 centers that we discussed earlier. All right, fantastic. Okay, so now it's time for our garden journal. Nicole, would you like to give an explanation on what this garden journal section is all about?
Absolutely. So journaling is another important aspect of this curriculum. And what it does is really reinforces all the concepts the kids have learned daily, weekly, or throughout the whole series. And they use their creativity to translate what they've learned onto paper. And so depending on the age of the child, the younger ones may draw pictures, the older ones may start using small words. But this is a great way for the kids in the program to really connect all of the things they've learned over that day or that week into their own creative outlet through journaling. And this goes onward throughout their school career once they get out of pre-K, because journaling is an important aspect of schools throughout the ages and throughout the grades. So this is a great start for the kids to get used to journaling and really take that creative outlet to reinforce the concepts they've learned throughout the day or week.
Very good. Thank you, Nicole. And we know that some of our students, they're not ready to write their paragraphs or their thesis. So they're probably just at the stage where they're able to express a lot through drawing. And so we're going to use this time for our breakout session. We are going to, I'll assign you all randomly. There will be 3 breakout rooms. We will go over the drawings for a drawing that's featured for week 1, week 2, and week 4. Nicole will lead the group, the first group week 1. I will lead the second group, and Ian will lead week 4. All right, so let me go here and go into breakout rooms. Okay, and let's see, for the breakout rooms, I'm trying to find the timer here, but we will have about 10 minutes in that breakout room to discuss the lesson, to discuss the drawing. You will share how you presented the drawing this summer to your students. You'll share best practices. We all know that to be a Michelangelo is not necessary, or a famous painter, right? It's not necessary to be an expert artist to draw what we need to teach our students. But we do ask you to do your best. And so in the links provided, we have samples of what those drawings could be. And you can use those for each week. All right, so let me make sure that everyone has been assigned a room. And the breakout rooms will close in, let's see, close automatically after 10 minutes. And the countdown, there will be a countdown 60 seconds to close. So if you're sharing, the last person to share, just know that that 60-second clock will come on. Okay, I'll open all rooms now.
Hi, Miss Eloisa.
Okay, everyone, how did you like your drawing exercises? Did you have enough time? Maybe a little bit?
Yes, we have enough time.
Wonderful. All right. And I would like to capture a screenshot, if you don't mind, of everyone showing their drawings. I'll just have to get this screenshot here, and I'll count to 3 when we all need to hold up our drawings to show off our artwork. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Show your artwork. Wonderful. I'll take another photo for good measure. Let's save this one. All right, and let's do it one more time. Okay, everyone, show your photos. Good job. All right. So how was it drawing your photos? Let's hear from someone who's never done this activity before. Tell me, was the drawing exercise easier than you had initially imagined? Don't all speak at once. Wardell says it was fun. Great. Thank you, Wardell. In my group, in the Taproot versus Fibrous group, there were many things to learn. And I'd like someone from each group to share what you learned for this lesson, either the topic or a way to express drawing and use drawing to tie in everything that the students would have learned for that week. So from week 1, Ian, who was in your group? Would you like to call on someone?
Sure. Let's see. Let me look at. I have an idea of who I'd like to call on here, just really briefly, because I saw that it was a really cool drawing. January Melendez. If you would like to show your drawing, please. I thought that that was really a clever and fun drawing.
Let's see here.
Looking for you. And, lots of.
Can you hear me?
Aha! I hear you. There you are. Hi.
So this is my drawing. And I
Oh,
got a flower
wonderful.
there with some roots, taking root.
That's
And
awesome.
it looks like I have already picked a flower.
Nice.
And I can draw a face, I just couldn't draw a body. So that's kind of where you got me at.
That's great. I love it.
Fantastic.
Stick figures are my jam.
That's fantastic. In group 2, there were a couple of things that we learned, and I see that some folks have already put that information in the chat here. Kathy Mullen was in our group. And here's a question for you, Nicole. One of the questions was a sweet potato. Is a sweet potato a tuber or a taproot?
It's a tuber. So the potatoes are tubers because they hold all of their energy in that vegetable, as we'd like to call it, potato. Sweet potatoes are tubers, and roots still come out of the tubers. So they are tubers.
Very good. Thank you.
And I'd like to nominate Alfeo to show his.
Oh, hold on for a second. Before that, I want to call on a person from group 2 to discuss their drawing a little bit. Navjot, could you show your drawing and talk about your experience?
Yes, my drawing isn't good at all.
It was wonderful.
Oh my God. Kind of embarrassed to show, but yeah. Yeah, I think that's what I learned, that sweet potato is not a root. So that's what I learned during the discussion.
And my group, there was really good feedback about other types of tap roots, turnip, beets, radishes even. And that with those tap roots, there are small fibrous roots that come from those tap roots, or smaller roots that come from each tap root. And with lettuce has fibrous roots, and those are little fine roots that you can see sometimes when you buy those heads of living lettuce in the grocery stores.
Unfortunately, weeds often have those big nasty tap roots, so that's why they're hard to pull. They don't generally have those nice, easy to pull fibrous roots. They got to have those big 2-foot tap roots on them. We did a great job. And if anybody feels bad about their drawing, just please don't, because I'm a terrible drawer. It's an ongoing joke between me and my students and my artistically challenged self. I tell them that they have to use their creative mind to interpret my drawings the best that they can, because sometimes they're like, Miss Nicole, is that a seed or a bowling ball or somebody's head? I don't get it. So don't feel bad. And I nominate Alfeo to do a group 1's picture, because he was really great at sharing how he gets his kids involved in journaling and excited about it. He drew a whole scene with that seed growing in the ground. It's that, see it, look at there. It's got this, the plant has a family and a house. I mean, that is a wonderful, happy little plant.
Yeah, something relatable that the kids will understand. Like, also, that's what grows under the ground.
Exactly. So we discussed how the seeds for a lot of children are conceptual growing under the ground because they're under the ground. So you don't often get to see what they look like when they sprout and grow that little seedling root and stem. And we discussed how to help kids see that by doing the old lima bean in the bag with the wet paper towel trick to show them how seeds sprout and grow.
Fantastic. You know, and this is great. You know, we discussed before different containers to use to grow plants. And many of you mentioned the cups, using the cups, or using the plastic containers, recycled containers, or using the garden beds. But you can also use just a general plastic bag, and you can put a bean in that plastic bag with a little bit of soil and tape that plastic bag to a window so that the students can actually see the plants as the seeds as they grow. They can see the stems rising from the seed as well as those roots up close and personal. And so then when you get to journaling day and you need a sample to draw from, you can use that view, that plastic bag viewer, as your guide. So the students are actually drawing from something that's tangible as opposed to drawing from something that's conceptual. All right, fantastic. Let's see here. Let's see here. Oh, Eloisa, she said she's not a good artist, but she did draw carrots and broccoli. Now that's impressive. The broccoli.
If you drew broccoli, you're a good drawer.
Yeah.
A carrot for me is an upside down triangle with little green squigglies on the top. Jacqueline knows what I'm talking about.
And so with this garden journal component, have fun with it. Oh, let's see, Eloisa. Oh, that's fantastic. Look at that. Yes, you did draw broccoli. Good job. You know, so as I said before, you know, you don't have to be Picasso's or Michelangelo's to draw, but having that general concept to drive that message home, it's really fun. You know, I love that drawing component, or that drawing part of the lesson. It's when I can be a kid again, pull out the crayons, you know, and express myself. So have fun with it. Don't be afraid of it. You know, you don't have to have a green thumb at all to teach the Learn, Grow, Eat, Go curriculum. You don't have to be a master chef to explain the recipe component. nor do you have to be Picasso to do the journaling component, right? We're all here to have fun and to hone our skills and to teach the kids, and you know, we'll all support each other. If you have any questions on any of the
Exactly. The important thing is just only the encouragement that we
That's
can do
right.
it, right?
That's right.
That's why Miss Nicole
Jacqueline.
said, don't worry, everyone can do it. So that's why now I
Including
said, now
you.
I can do it.
That's right. Including you. And then this is such a wonderful group, you know, I mean, I really appreciate everyone sharing their drawings and being called on and answering. So you guys are fantastic. I think you guys can do anything. So, all right, let's go back to the lesson here. Let me share the screen. Here we go. All right. Okay, so we went over examples of garden journaling for each week. Let's go here. Now we get to the song part. So give me a thumbs up in the chat if you were able to use those songs each week when you taught the lessons over the summer. Let's just see, using your chat feature. So with Zoom, if you hover down at the bottom of your screen, oh, Floyd was able to put a little thumbs up in the chat. That's great. Oh, that's right. There's the reaction feature. Yeah, so give us a thumbs up if you were able to use any of the songs. Oh, wonderful. Carly, yep. Floyd, wonderful. Now, I didn't create a poll for this one, but did any of you have a favorite song? There were several songs. I know we had, let's see, which one? Parts of the Plant was a song. Roots Are Growing in the Ground, that was a song. There was the Stem Stretch, and then the Flowers on the Plant. Yes, Parts of the Plant. That's my favorite too. Jesus just remarked that the song in particular was a fave with the kids. Yeah, for those auditory learners, why not? Add some rhythm and beats. Fantastic. We are going to go over this Parts of the Plant song. It is a favorite, but all of the songs are fantastic and written very well. I think that our friends at Texas A&M, they were so witty in coming up with these songs. You know, it's just an easy way to remember fantastic or interesting aspects or fun facts about plants. With this particular song, we're teaching the students the parts of the plant, and it's being reinforced through music. So without further ado, I would love for Ian to show how he would teach the Parts of the Plant song.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So this song is, I just put this in the chat. This song is so much fun. I like the Flowers of the Plant because the Wheels on the Bus is kind of an easy tune to sing.
Oh yeah.
Fun. But this one is just is so much fun. So you've all probably been familiarized with the Addams Family. They have come back in successive iterations throughout the generations, and so everybody is familiar with this song, and it's a lot of fun to sing. So it's the da-da-da-dum, parts of the plant, parts of the plant, parts of the plant, parts of the plant. There are roots and stems and leaves, and so when you do the roots, you touch your toes, and then you slide your hands up from your legs to your chest for stems, and leaves, you extend your arms and hands outward like leaves, and open your hands. So there are roots and stems and leaves, flowers, fruits, and seeds. So those, you spread your fingers when you have your leaves out, and you spread your fingers and hold them high like flowers. You can even do this kind of, if you want. And in fruits, you form a ball with your hands. And in the seeds, coming from the fruits, you wiggle your fingers, and they fall to the ground, and you put them all together, and you have the parts of the plant, and then you repeat the chorus. Parts of the plant, And that's the end. Do you guys want to do it together?
Sure, let's try it. Now, this is funny, but please unmute yourselves and we'll see how this sounds.
All right. Are you guys ready? On the count of 3, 2, 1. Parts of the plant. Parts of the plant. Parts of the plant. Parts of the plant. The plant. Their roots and stems and seeds. Flowers, fruits, and seeds. You put them all together and you have the plant. Parts of 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 the plant. This is the best. You guys are awesome. It's too funny.
You guys are fantastic. Oh my gosh. This is a
Jesus'
kids have to have all
group.
the fun.
Jesus' group has way too much fun. Nobody should be paid for having that much fun.
You guys are awesome. Yes. I love it. You know, we get to draw, we get to sing, we get to move around. There you go. Love it. Thank you so much for being good sports. All right. Okay, does anyone have any questions with any of the songs, with anything that we've touched so far? Thanks, Lynn Marie. Yes, I love the song. Me too. Fantastic. Does anyone have any gardening questions? Material questions, recipe questions?
Oh, can I ask a gardening question?
Sure, Althea.
Okay. When you're watering, let's say a small plant and the leaves start turning yellow, does that mean you're overwatering or it needs more water?
So the signs of overwatering and underwatering are unfortunately very similar. So I do the old pinky finger test, right? So it kind of depends on the plant and what they like as far as soil moisture goes. But for your average fruits and vegetables, they want to stay moist, but not wet. So I would put my little finger in, and if the moisture goes down to the root zone and it's not too much coming out the bottom, then I think you're good. Depending on the time of year as well. Of course, in the summer, you're going to water a lot more than you would at other points of the year. But if all else fails, you can purchase a moisture meter, but it's kind of the same thing as the pinky test. So I also do it by weight too. So I hold the pot or the container when it's bone dry. And then I pick it up again after I've just watered and it's soaking wet. And that kind of gives me an idea of where my water is in between. So that's just kind of a little tip, but underwatering and overwatering unfortunately look a lot alike.
Nicole, is there any discussion or anything you can add about nutrient deficiency when it comes to those yellow leaves?
Yes, absolutely. So when you grow plants in containers, after a little while, the soil will deplete of nutrition. It's just kind of part of the process, the watering that we do with them, the draining of the water, and we don't really add, generally speaking, compost or mulch to our containers, our little container plants, to continuously feed that plant as they break down. So if your plant is showing nutrient stress and it's in a container, you can buy a very basic all-around fertilizer. So I don't want to drop brand names, but I'll say just a very general all-around fertilizer, and maybe put it in your water. If it's a liquid-based fertilizer, you can put a little bit in a gallon of water and water with that. Another option is to add a little bit of compost and some mulch on the top of your soil, because what happens is as that mulch, and when I say mulch, if nobody knows what I'm talking about like old leaves, dead leaves off of trees, grass clippings, things like that, things that are organic that you can put down on the top of the soil. It will eventually, as it waters and is exposed to the elements, that will start to naturally break down. And as it does, it will add nutrients to the soil. A third option is, depending on the size of your container, you can always add worms, because worms and their processes are some of the best soil and compost that you can use. So if you have a very little pot or a very little container, worms probably won't work very well. But if you get into like the milk jug size containers or the 5-gallon buckets or garden beds, then worms, just a few worms, are a great addition to your soil to keep that nutrient level up.
Thank you, Nicole. Great question, Althea. Does anyone else have any gardening questions? Things that you're curious about that you may have tried on your own or tried in the classroom?
Ordell says she's starting her own compost pile, and that's a wonderful thing to do. Compost is really just organic materials breaking down into soil. And if you've ever lived in a very humid and hot environment, then that composting doesn't take very long. Here in a very dry environment, you need to water that compost and kind of move it around. But you can make compost in a big container, and you can make compost in the good old recycled milk jugs or juice containers, apple juice, whatever it is. I've made homemade desktop composters in my kitchen, throw my kitchen scraps in there, throw my glass clippings in there, cardboard, brown paper bags. Those are all things that can go into that little tabletop composter. And then you just add a couple spoonfuls or scoopfuls into your container, and it will definitely help. Compost is A1 for just about everything a plant could need.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And just know that when you are composting, you've heard that people sometimes compost their foods. You want to make sure that there are no oils added to the compost. That would not be helpful. So let's say if you are preparing a meal and you have those food scraps as you prepare the meal, you're making a salad and you have those cuttings from chopping your celery, for example, or let's say you're trimming your roses. You can save those that organic matter, if you will, or the cuttings or what have you, and put that aside, and that'll be your compost. So it'll decompose. It's great. As Nicole has put in the chat, no fats, oils, dairy, or meat products in compost, please. It's stinky, that's right, and they can attract those pesky pests.
Can I share my garden that I had? I have made a garden, and this is what I did.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It came out really good. And then I also have I got one tomato.
Yay.
But my question was going to be, how do you get your dog to stay out of your garden? Because it was real nice until one day I found her in there.
Oh, look, you grew a dog, a pup plant. Isn't
You
that
grew
awesome?
a puppy plant. Puppy plants are the best.
Please let her grow to full maturity so we can get seeds.
Right? So this is what happened. It was beautiful at one time. I had a whole bunch of peppers in there and stuff. And
She looks like she has no regrets whatsoever.
No, she's looking at me like, what am I doing? Taking a picture of her and looking at her.
So, I often tease some of my older students, and then we talk about what are pests of the garden. And so we talk about, your basic like aphids and things like that, bugs, and rats and mice. But, we kind of joke around that sometimes kindergartners can be pests of the garden, or people, or dogs, or your cat, or your neighbor, right? So a pest of the garden doesn't really mean anything negative. It just means that something that is actively kind of destroying your garden. So I don't know your setup back there, January, but I would say if you could, yes, Ian's pest is the HOA. Okay, fair enough. My recommendation is twofold. So one, if you can kind of fence it with something that would keep him or her out of it, great. If not, then you can make a little homemade spray that's cayenne pepper spray, and it won't hurt him or her. But when they go to sniff it, they're not going to like it at all, because they lead with their noses. So when he or she goes to sniff it, they're going to get that cayenne pepper smell in their nose, and they will tend to stay away then. So make it unattractive. And quit growing so much beautiful produce for them to eat.
Thank you.
By the way, folks, I do have to correct myself. I had a little faux pas. I gave the definition of compost. I used that definition for mulch. So I just want to correct myself. I apologize for that. I wrote mulch and then I give the definition for compost. But compost is that organic matter that will decompose. And then of course the nutrients go back into the soil. Mulch, there are different types of mulch. You can have wood chips or rock mulch or other types of chips. Wood chips can be used as mulch, and mulch does serve a particular purpose. I know that it has something to do with cooling down the soil, but of course Nicole can give a better explanation of that. I just wanted to let you know that I stand corrected. I'm correcting myself.
Yeah, mulch will definitely, depending on how deep you have your mulch. So here at the garden at Extension, we have it about 4 inches deep on the out part of not in the beds, but in the walkways and things like that. So mulch will do a couple of different things. One, it retains soil moisture. So it basically creates shade on that soil, maintaining soil moisture and keeping the soil cooler than it is if it was not shaded. 2, it breaks down and creates organic material for your garden. And finally, it's don't use rock mulch, please, on your vegetables. Please, please, please don't do that. Because you guys will be sending me pictures of fried vegetables and it's going to be the rock mulch. So because that rock radiates heat, right? So a lot of times when people plant plants in rock mulch and then put the rocks very close to the plant, it fries, and it's because of that radiating heat. So mulch is really, there's no bad mulch except for rock mulch in the garden. So if you have, if a landscaper comes through your community, ask him for his grass clippings. That's great mulch. You can throw that right on top of the soil. When you cut down old plants, so the tomatoes are dead, it's the season's over, I take them down and I crunch them up and squish them up and leave them right on the soil.
Now with mulch though, also be aware of where your mulch is coming from, because you don't want certain things like weeds to be included into that mulch, right? So there's something called bindweed. And if that bindweed is mixed in with those clippings, you're not going to get rid of the bindweed. It's going to destroy your garden. And
or Bermuda grass.
Bermuda grass, that's another thing.
That's something that happens a lot. So when we talk about mulch, it's a great idea to know where your mulch came from, because sometimes what will happen, like say if you use the tree company and they drop off mulch to you, you don't know if those trees were diseased. You don't know if those trees had issues and that's why they were cut down. And then you put that mulch in your garden and now you have that disease or that vector of disease in your garden. So it's always good. I just use the stuff that falls off my trees because I know what I've done with my trees. And so that works fine. You can buy bagged mulch at nurseries in town and at stores in town. Stay away from the dyed stuff because you can get dyed mulch like red mulch or yellow mulch or orange mulch. Keep it as natural as possible. So when it does break down, the only thing breaking down in that soil are natural ingredients.
Fantastic. Well, that was our extra tidbit of garden support information for you. The time is now, what is time now? It is 2:53. Okay. Let's go on to discuss our parent engagement opportunities. We know that with the curriculum that's going to be available at the end of August, beginning September, in the back of that book, there will be suggestions for parent engagement. But yesterday at the training, one of the centers did mention that there's a parent app that you guys use, and you can remind parents of things like recipes. You can remind parents to ask their students, what lessons, garden lessons, did they learn for the week? Right? Or remind your parents that your student learned a song, and to feel free to ask that student how the song goes at home. It's really fun. All right, and there are also, let's see, free activity downloads, food face projects, right? These are going to be things that are added to the published Learn, Grow, Eat, Go curriculum. Teacher resources. Let's say you have different centers. And of course, we know that the Learn, Grow, Eat, Go curriculum is made for the general population. There are some centers, some sites that have learning centers. So they might have a sensory center or an auditory center. And there will be suggestions for those centers added. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to use your resources. Who are your immediate resources? Does anyone know who your immediate resources are at your centers? Feel free to put it in chat. Who are your immediate resources? Center director, yeah, Janice, thank you. Center director, yeah, sure. Your center directors, your colleagues, absolutely. And feel free to ask a question. Everyone has our emails. At this time, I also want to invite everyone. We have here at Extension, we have tours that are given by Master Gardeners. You can actually come to Extension on certain dates. I'll send an email with that information. But usually I think it's from 10 to 2 where you can have a tour with the Master Gardener. Also, our gardens are open to the public and you can come and check out our botanic gardens here at Windmill and 215. A botanic garden is a cluster of mini gardens. And we have our youth horticulture education garden as a part of the botanic garden, where we show teachers how to use the outdoor classrooms.
And the docent tours, the tours that Tricia was just speaking about that are led by Master Gardeners, those are going to begin again after the heat break. So I believe they'll begin again late September, early October, because you know, it's just too darn hot out there right now. And yes, we still have the escape room. I put some people in there. I haven't seen them since, so I'm not sure if they can actually, I'm just kidding. I did not do that. But there's a ropes course back there as well.
Fantastic. And of course, we would love to have you. All right. And let's see, moving forward here. Keep in mind that if you have any questions with parent engagement ideas, use this as resources. And we hope that you've enjoyed this hands-on workshop, online workshop, Zoom workshop, refresher course, what have you. I will be sending out, after tomorrow's training, I will be sending out a post-reflective survey to get your feedback on this training. Let us know if it was useful, if it was a good refresher, if you had fun. We'd love your feedback. All right. And at this time, thank you. At this time, I just want to let you all know that we are still, we're going to do our little audit of the class, end of session audit. We do have everyone's Nevada registry number, because you supplied that during registration. If you believe that you didn't supply it during registration, feel free to do that now in the chat. This program has been recorded, so we will be able to capture that information if you did put it in chat. But wonderful. Thank you guys so much. You registered 4 times, Janice. You know, some folks, I did see that. Yes, absolutely.
Janice made sure she was
You wanted to
registered.
participate. I love it. Absolutely. Oh, you kept getting kicked out. Oh, that's terrible. Okay. Let me make a note and make sure that your name is listed on the registration. Yes, for Nevada registry, when we send in the information with your Nevada registry number, if a person doesn't have a Nevada registry number, we still submit your name with your email. So thank you. Thank you. Cordell for that. Great. Thanks, Jesus. Wonderful. You guys are fantastic. A great group of people, good sports. Have a wonderful rest of the week.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Let's see.
Kathy, stay on for a bit if you can.
Okay, okay. I love what you're doing with that. With the
Can you stop sharing, Trisha?
Oh, sure. Hold on.
Thanks.
How do I? Here we go. Hold on. Stop sharing. Today has been the day for just technical stuff. Man,
James-
I am clicking on the sharing button, and every time I hover over the stop share, it disappears. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Oh my gosh.
James said it was solar flares. I think he was just blowing smoke, but that's okay.
All right, let me stop recording also. This is great.